Good morning. Welcome to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Graddick, your host. Delighted to have you with us on this beautiful Monday morning. And it's going to be a great week. And we're got a very special program for us this morning for you, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. We have a candidate for Carroll County Commissioner District 2, Clint Chance, is in studio, and we want to invite you to call in 678-601-TALK, 678-601-8255. And for our Facebook audience, we invite you to make any kind of comments on our WLBB News Talk 1330 Facebook page, and we'll try to read those. So with that intro, good morning to Clint Chance.
Good morning, Steve. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Well, we're glad that you came in, and we look forward to going over many of the topics and issues of concern to Carroll County Commission. Before we do, I think it's appropriate. Let's take just a minute, because I hope she's listening. But Vicki Anderson has chosen not to run again for Carroll County Commissioner District 2, and it appears that she's already endorsed you.
Yeah, Vicki and I have been friends for several years. We have worked on different projects throughout the community. Vicki has one of those personalities that she and I hit it off very well to begin with several years ago when we were working on a project together. I think she's very approachable. I think she cares about her constituents. And when she had spoken with me that she wasn't going to rerun and had asked my consideration in running, I was very humbled by that honor that she actually, entrusted my leadership abilities. So she and I have had a great working relationship professionally, and I do consider her a friend and think that she served our community very well. And as she stated, this will be her 12th year, her third term, and she felt like it was time to pass the baton on to someone else and allow someone else to come in and serve. But I've had a great relationship with her, and I appreciate everything she's done to represent the county, most especially in District 2.
Did she give you any parting words of advice that you can share with us?
She just said, be yourself and be honest. I mean, Vicki is not, I guess you can consider anyone that's in office a politician. I don't consider her a true politician. She doesn't give you a script and only say this or only do that. Her words of advice have been be honest and be yourself, and tell people what you think you want to do to represent them. And so that's advice that I've taken very strongly.
Well, if someone knows you or knows of you, then they know of something called rodeo.
That's right.
And if someone doesn't really know Clint Chance, they do know a lot about the rodeo on Highway 61. So tell us a little something before we get deep into politics and Carroll County government. Let's talk about rodeo first.
Sure.
Tell us about that.
Well, I was raised on a farm. My father is, I say he's the best of both worlds. He was raised country and on the farm. He used to ride bulls, and he also went on to be a vice president of manufacturing. So I think just because you are in the rodeo industry doesn't mean that you're dumb by any stretch of the means as far as considering my father and following his footsteps. But my father rode during the 70s and the 80s, so I grew up in the sport of rodeo. I did get a degree in management from the University of West Georgia, and marketing is kind of my forte. I really enjoy that, and so it was a way for me to reconnect with something that I grew up with, and also to implement the passions that I have, or the education that I have in the planning. And when you talk about planning and marketing an event, everything from grounds preparations to association bookings to fire and safety and police to the marketing. It's a very intensive project, just like any concert or festival or anything you'd go to has to be organized from the ground up, and that's what I do. I will say, not to be boastful, but something I'm very proud of, the particular event in Villa Rica that we started 13 years ago. We have always given back to the community. We've given out scholarships to graduating seniors. We've given to different departments during the lull of the community at different schools who were able to enter into a contest and donated. We've had the Villa Rica High School soccer team that's been involved in our projects, in our events before in Villa Rica. So just in District 2 alone, I have donated back tens of thousands of dollars over the courses of years, and other events that we've actually done in the West Georgia community, even thousands more. So here again, not to be braggadocious, but something I'm very proud of, that this community means something to me, and it's just like your home. You don't mind investing money in your home because it's yours, and that's what I feel that we've done here, is to give back and invest in the community when I produce these local events.
So were you, you grew up on the farm, you're doing rodeos, so were you a rodeo bronc rider or bull rider?
You know, I never rode. I leisurely rode horses, obviously on the farm, and I have a business with my father, a commercial cattle business where we raise and sell cattle for beef. But I never got into the bull riding aspect of it. I always loved rodeo. I always loved watching it, being right in the middle of it. I think my mother threatened my father growing up that if she ever found out he had put me on a bull,
well,
they were going to have some issues. So
I mean, it's dangerous.
yes, it's the most dangerous sport in America.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
it is really.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, so most people who know you or know of the rodeo, we just want to be sure they get that connection.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Where is, and I probably should have started this at the beginning, but where is District 2 for the Carroll County Commission?
Well, District 2 essentially runs in Villa Rica, on the Carroll County side. As you know, Villa Rica is partially in Douglas as well, so it'll be the Carroll County side of Villa Rica, some of the outskirts, and then we come down 61 and then run into Fairfield Plantation, and so that's the general outlay.
And Fairfield's like its own little city, right?
It is. It's it was, and I believe it still is, the largest gated community in the state of Georgia. Have a lot of memories growing up there as well. I talk about, I can't think of a more appropriate area for me to represent should my constituents want to elect me into office. But I grew up in the area in Villa Rica, into Fairfield, have a lot of friends there. I've played golf, gone out on the boat many times with Miss Loretta Camp and some of her friends there on the lake, and eating dinner and so forth at the marina. Fairfield is a very unique plantation there.
Okay, we're going to take a break and be back with more with Clint Chance. I think it's called A Chance to Serve.
A Chance to Serve is our slogan. That's correct.
District 2 Carroll County Commission candidate after this word from Tanner Health System.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Graddick, your host. Delighted to have you with us. We've got Clint Chance, District 2 Carroll County Commission candidate in the studio, A Chance to Serve. Invite you to give us a call, 678-601-TALK, 678-601-8255. Or we're on the WLBB Facebook page. We're doing a live stream, and so if you've got any comments there, we'll try to share those with Clint. And so one thing that kind of separates you from most candidates is you've been, for lack of a better phrase, somewhat of a student of government, local government, for many years. And beyond that, you've also been a very active volunteer. Kind of, if you would, describe some of this activity, if you would.
Sure. I was raised the importance of understanding local government, and I think to a degree a lot of people keep up with national news even more closely because it's easy, it's what's on the news. But your local government probably affects our daily lives even more so
And should.
than at the federal level. So
Right.
it's something that I've always been involved in. I talk about in the introduction video that I have on Facebook that for over a decade, I could probably count on one hand the amount of times I missed a city council meeting in Villa Rica. There's many times you look around, especially at a work session, and there's myself and a couple other people I know very well, and we're the only ones there. Working for myself has given me the opportunity, I think, to have a flexible schedule. If I have to work till midnight that night to make up work or to do things with my business, that's what I need to do. But on top of that, I think it's very important to be seen and understand what's going on in the community. So that's something that I would pride myself on, as being up to date and up to speed and understanding all the transformations and the topics that have come up over a decade in our district. As far as serving on boards, I have a very big heart when it comes to giving back and to being involved. I'm currently the chairman of the West Georgia Regional Library System. I've been put on a board appointed by the Carroll County Board of Commissioners, Villa Rica City Council as well. Also serve as the chairman of the Career Technical Agricultural Education Advisory Board for Villa Rica High School. I had been the chairman of that for a little over 10 years, and that's something that's very important to me from an economic standpoint. We go in, you have state curriculum and certainly county curriculum guidelines, but they depend on the business community to come in and to say, what is it that these students need to have? What are the skills that they need to have coming out into the workforce? So a lot of times we take these students under our wings. We make sure that there's certain things that we want to see implemented into the school system during the business curriculum particularly. And I can tell you one thing that as chairman I had always tried to instill in these meetings and so forth is the soft skills. So many times, we've got all these degrees out there, we've got all these fields that you can study in, and education is extremely, extremely important. But I tell people many times when it comes down to a job interview, you're going to be narrowed down, and let's say you both have A's in school and you both have the same degree, but you have a winning personality. You have a firm handshake, you're able to look somebody in the eye. You groom yourself well. All these little things, you never know what is going to be the tipping point in allowing them to get a job. And so it's just instilling in these young students the educational process, how important it is, but also the soft skills that go along with that.
I would include in that being able to carry on a conversation.
Most definitely.
You'd mentioned, let's stay on that for a minute. That kind of service requires a lot of time. You're not chairman of this board or that board, and I know there was a lot of work on the library in Villa Rica. I mean, that takes a lot of time.
It does. I'm one of these people that when I commit 110% to do the right thing, to be involved. And it's most especially any of these boards, you're correct that there's a lot of time spent, but especially when you serve as chairman, people look to you for leadership. They look for you to ideas. They look for you to at least put something out on the table for discussion, and then it may go left, right, or center. And so as chairman, especially with the construction project there in Villa Rica, we've had a new business model, if you will, overhaul at the West Georgia Regional Library System. It encompasses 18 facilities, soon to be 19 in 5 different counties. And so that's been a major undertaking for me, but it's the time that I've committed because I want to make a change. I want to make a positive impact. And I think anybody that tells you that truly has a servant's heart when they come on a board, they want to leave something better than when they found it. That doesn't mean the people there before them didn't know what they were doing or didn't do a good job, but I hope that when I leave, things are in better shape than they were before I became chairman, and I look for the next person that comes along and takes over to make things even better than I did. And I think that's the cycle in community when you have services. You want to make things better and hope that stride continues in the future.
In libraries historically and certainly today, it seems like their biggest challenge is just maintaining the financing and raising the funds necessary to carry on.
It is. A lot of times we have to educate. We have this broad spectrum of an idea that with today's digital age and technology, why do we need libraries? And I will say that many people do have, personal devices. They're able to look things up, but there's so many different examples that I wouldn't even have time to go in here to today, but especially during the lull of the economy. We had a lot of people that come in and utilize the computers. There's many days in our facilities there were 2 and 3 hour waits to get on computers because people couldn't afford the internet at their house. Some people live in a rural area where internet is really not available, or it's shoddy at best, and so they're not able to get the streaming that they need. So we have people that apply for jobs online. We have people that search for jobs online. We have people that come in that have worked at a facility for 20 years in the same career who've either been laid off, or let's say that they've retired, but they want to get back out and do something. They don't want to sit at home. And we have people come in and say, gosh, I can't even get a job at McDonald's without having to be technologically savvy to run a computer. And for 20 or 30 years, I didn't really have to use a computer in my line of work. And so we have basic training skills. We have genealogy, a lot of different things. We have students that come in that maybe are behind in course work, and there's tutors that come in and use our study rooms. There's so many things that people don't realize. Many do, but some don't realize that even though there's technology in the world, we still have to have these facilities. And the other example I use is school. Just because we have technology doesn't mean our children no longer go to schools.
Right.
And so it's kind of that same philosophy.
And while nobody can give us accurate numbers, it's still, I think, a pretty significant number of people in our region who are not connected, who don't have the computer technology at the house and don't have the connectivity at the house. My impression is it's still a relatively large number. So
yes, sir.
There's so much we want to talk about. I know we're not going to have enough time to get to it all, but you mentioned one thing after the second break about, and I've seen it over the years, and you mentioned about only being like 1 or 2 people at a work session. I mean, it is somewhat disturbing that we don't see as many people involved in local government as used to be decades ago, or as many people voting in local elections. But the best way to push back an overreaching federal or state government is by having a strong, vibrant local government, correct?
That's exactly right. And I think we're all guilty of this to a degree. We're very quick to get hot, get on the phone, social media when something upsets us or something's dear to us and we don't think things are going right and complain. But we're not as likely to be proactive involved in our government. I see people come in who have legitimate concerns, and they get up to the microphone and speak to their elected officials, and they give a plan of what they think should fix a certain problem. And the month before, at another council meeting, there was an hour spent on maybe that specific issue and why that particular plan wouldn't fix things. And so I don't want to say that the public is uneducated. I think people just live their daily lives. They elect people and they expect people to get things done. But I do believe it's very, very important for people. With technology, they're able to streamline in as well into many of these meetings through podcasts and so forth. So I hope that people are taking advantage of that as well. But I would definitely like to see more people involved, not just our retirees or people that are sitting at home with nothing to do. I hope that people would take the time to be involved in their local government, because as we stated, at the end of the day, you're going to get something. If you've got a road problem or your trash isn't being picked up or whatever, you're not calling the White House, you're calling your local government. Yeah, so it's very important.
I can reach my county commissioner a lot easier than I can reach my congressman. Along those same lines, before we go to the second break, I've observed over the years we have a lot of good people with good hearts, and they run for office, and they have the best interest of everything involved. And then when they get in office, it's like, well, let's do this and let's do that. If we can afford it, let's do it because it's a good idea. How do you differentiate what is proper, rightful roles of government to fund and to support?
Well, let me say that, first of all, I'm a Republican, and I consider myself as a conservative, but I'd like to give an example of what conservatism means to me. A lot of people think conservatism is only coming in and we're going to find all this fluff and all this wasteful spending and we're going to do away with it, or we're never going to go up on any taxes or never do anything. Conservatism means spending the time to evaluate a situation and making the best decision that you can in the moment and what you think is best moving forward. So while, for instance, in a project, if we can pick someone that maybe isn't the cheapest, but they're the second cheapest, but we think they're going to be longevity-wise, build the best facility, that's someone we want to go with, and that's conservatism. I think a lot of people have different ideas of what they believe conservatism is. You know, I do believe in limited government, but in the same note, we're paying for certain basic services. Public safety, obviously, one of the main ones. And so we want to make sure that those funds are being utilized. But yes, I agree with you totally. There's been many times that I've been at council meetings through the years, and I don't disrespect anyone's ideas. I think everything is legit, but a lot of times, as you say, something's just a good idea, so let's make it a law. I never will forget sitting in a police academy in Villa Rica, the Citizens Academy, and I asked the judge at the time, who was one of the speakers one night, I said, how in the world can you possibly keep up with a book with that many laws and policies and so forth and enforce it? And he said, well, I'm not going to lie to you, it's tough. And so I agreed that we need to look at things. There's things that we can streamline. There are things that may be outdated that could be replaced. And at the end of the day, we have to use good judgment as society. We can't regulate or put a law on the books to fix every single situation in society. And so there's definitely a balance there to be acted.
Our guest this morning is Clint Chance, candidate for District 2, Carroll County Commission. His motto is a chance to serve. We'll be back with more after this word from Tanner Health System.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Gradick, your host. Delighted to have you with us. You can give us a call, 678-601-TALK, 678-601-8255, or post a question or comment to the Facebook Live on WLBB. And Clint Chance is in studio, District 2, Carroll County Commissioner. So I'm going to throw out a buffet here, and you can pick what you like, where you want to go with it. In some of the articles, it's been mentioned that three things you're very interested in is infrastructure, jobs, and communication. Which one of those tends to take priority, do you think?
Sure. Well, I think it's all a culmination. I'll start with communication. With today's social media, there seems to be a more instant gratification that people expect, and quite frankly, people can get when you're friends with someone on Facebook or you want to Twitter something, you've got an issue. It's very easy this day and time for the elected officials who take part in that to be able to connect socially. Obviously, telephone, email certainly works as well, but social media has become the waves of the day in the future. So that's something that I want to be able to make sure that I'm constantly in communication with. You know, someone once told me you can put a plan together and talk about things and what you want to do, but at the end of the day, life is what gets in the way. So while we'll have projects or different things we want to work on, things are always evolving or coming up in the moment, and you've got to be able to reach your constituents. And I also want to make sure that there's good communication between all of our leaders. I think here in Carroll County, they do an outstanding job, from our municipality, mayors, city council people working with the county government, also with our state elected officials, both in the House and the Senate. I think we're very blessed here in Carroll County to have that. talking about infrastructure, infrastructure goes hand in hand with jobs. There's many facets and ways to look at this. At the end of the day, if an organization wants to come into a community and set up, they've got to have the water and sewer capabilities. We've had issues with that before where they couldn't sustain a particular business. They've got to have property. Maybe they're coming to look in and there's not enough property for them already developed to take over and move in. I know in Villa Rica, in the industrial park, they were basically filled up and looking to try to expand there. You have a lot of companies who are expanding as well, who already have a footprint here, needing to continue to invest. So I want to ensure that we continue to work on those items to make sure that is something we can continue to take the infrastructure in.
Let me interrupt there. Okay. You said pretty much Villa Rica is filled up with a lot of the industrial spaces?
Well, in their current industrial spaces, they are, yeah.
So what do you see for the going forward?
Well, that's something that the Development Authority, I know Kurt Kraft is the president of that there in the city of Villa Rica, and he works obviously with the Carroll County side as well, trying to bring in industry and so forth. So that's something they're looking at for additional property. I know that the Chairman Marty Smith had talked about in the future that things are a little bit different now. When people call in, they don't want to just know that you've got property just sitting there with pine trees on it. They kind of want to know, is something graded off? Is it ready to go to put a facility on it? And so the other thing with roads, one of my pet peeves is driving down the road and you don't know if you're driving yourself in a Volkswagen 1970 model or a new Cadillac, because you're hitting a pothole here and throwing your front end alignment out here. The county has done an outstanding job in the past few years of trying to implement that a structure base where we're retopping and paving a lot of roads, but we still have a problem where roads are paved and then we run into a state road or state route and you feel like you're running through the Iraq war. I want to make sure that our roads are connecting. Just as Atlanta, the deal with Atlanta where all the repaving has been going on now, whether you were for that tax hike or not, and I'm not going to get in the middle of that, infrastructure is something critical. A lot of these companies look at the gateways in and out of communities before they decide if they want to set up. And so infrastructure, from daily lives, us driving our personal cars, to infrastructure and bringing in the industry, very, very important that our infrastructure never gets neglected.
Northeast quadrant of Carroll County has been known for many years as really the growth area of Carroll County. You're going to be representing a good portion of that. Sure. How do you balance that representation with representing the county at large?
Well, I think, I tell people if I were elected, you obviously represent your constituents. These are the people that went to the ballot box and voted for you. But in the same note, if you're traveling on a road doesn't necessarily end in District 2, and it no longer begins or ends in District 3. And so there's a lot of connectivity. We've got a lot of things that people utilize in our community. I know that we're getting a new gymnastic center here in Carroll County. I know the Ag Center next door is something that's heavily used throughout the county, and so they're doing some revitalization there, trying to amp up the facility there. And so I think it's very important, yes, that we focus on District 2, but we also have to look at the bigger picture, things that I can make a difference in working with the rest of the commission base on.
Okay, we're running out of time, so here we go. Here's the question. You got 60 seconds. Why should anyone in District 2 vote for Clint Chance?
I was raised right here in Villa Rica, graduated from Villa Rica High School in 1998. Earned my BBA in management from the University of West Georgia. My father's family is from here. The old Chance taxi service from back in the day before I was born was known very well in Villa Rica. I've seen and lived through the transformations of our community. And I talk about whether you've lived here for 6 months or 60 years, I want to represent you. To me, representing a constituent is no different no matter how long you've lived here. But I believe if you're going to be the elected official, if you've actually been able to see the transformations and be involved in the community, I think that's very, very important. It gives you a leg up. In addition to that, I have a passion to serve people. I love people. I love this community. I have friends of mine that couldn't rub two nickels together. I have friends of mine that are doing well, and I have friends of mine that are multimillionaires. When I talk about the implementation of a vision that's inclusive of all citizens, it truly is, because I feel like I know the people, I know the district, I've spent the time. I understand many of the problems that we face, the challenges, and everything moving forward. It's just an opportunity and a chance to serve, and I'm very honored by the responsibility and the ability to run.
And for more information, then go to your Facebook page.
That's right. We have a Facebook page, Elect Clint Chance, Carroll County Commissioner. Also, you can email chancetoserve@gmail.com.
Our gratitude to Tanner Health System for sponsoring the Community Voice here on WLBB Carrollton.
National headlines.